The Xtreme BPM Tuesdays and Fridays, guys, 8 p.m. East African time, where we get to hang out with people that make the music. From Monday to Friday, 1 to 2 p.m., we get to play the music. And then Tuesdays and Fridays, we hang out with some of the people that make the music that we listen to during the week. That is 1 to 2 p.m. East African time. I know that could be early for you if you are like my guest on the show today. That would be very early for you. That's probably around 6, 5 a.m. for you. But that is between Monday to Friday. And nonetheless, if you miss it, you can still catch it up, okay? Go to the link in my bio on IG or Twitter, that is at DJ Mark Xtreme. You'll get the shows in case you missed any of them. So my guest today has a song that we've been playing on the station, Fortune Teller. Her name is Selena Victoria. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And I'm great to have you on. We've been trying to make this happen. Finally, it did happen.
Yes, I'm so excited for this.
So first, before we get into how you got started and all that, Fortune Teller, this is interesting. How does this come to you?
How, like, what the song is about?
Yes.
Well, I've said previously that it is about a toxic relationship, a love that consumes you, but you can't seem to stay away from. So I feel like we all have that one person that we kind of always go back to. It's never really over. And I feel like a love so strong that hypnotizes us so much, it can be very, we can be very drawn to that person and drawn to the situation, and we don't want to give up. And I feel like that's what Fortune Teller is about. It explains the different, especially like my album, what will be coming out, explains different levels of being emotionally inflicted in regards to relationships and stuff like that. So I feel like Fortune Teller is definitely about not wanting to give up on love, but also seeing the good in someone, even if you are getting hurt. And I always say that seeing the good in someone, seeing good in general, it's not a punishment, it's a gift. So yeah, that's how I like to view it.
All right. So we've been playing that Fortune Teller, guys. It's available everywhere you get music. Go check that out from Selena Victoria. But how does this get started for you? Let's see. In the family, are you the only one that does music?
Actually, I'm not. My brother plays drums and guitar. He's very talented. He's self-taught also, so he's incredibly talented. And I would love for him to be able to, pursue his dream one day of being in a band as well. And so I'm not necessarily in a band, but he does want to be in a band one day. So I would like to help him achieve that dream. But yeah, my dad sings. My mom's side does not have any like musical talent necessarily, but my dad does sing, and I think that's where I got my voice from him. So yeah, I grew up with music. I grew up loving music. I grew up singing. Everything about it, I love it, and it's my passion.
And so the decision to go to studio then and make music, how does that happen for you?
Well, it's kind of a process. You do have to work with a vocal coach that will then decide if and when you are ready to meet with producers. And luckily, I have the best producers that I've been able to work with over the years, who have worked with household names like Rihanna and Christina Aguilera. And so I'm very grateful that I've been able to be given the opportunity to record the songs with them. And they've been amazing mentors my entire career thus far. And I'm very grateful. So I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, but I commute to Toronto, and I record the songs with the producers at their studio apartments. And it's actually quite an amazing process. The energy is insane, and it's just beautiful, and I love everything about it. It's my favorite place to be.
And so what happens then, since you're commuting, because I guess that you already have to have you exchange a little bit of ideas here and there until you can finally get to studio and work on that. So how does it start for you? And with the writing, do you write your own, or do you have writers that you collaborate with?
I do. I write my own music.
Okay.
But I actually did have help on Fortune Teller. I had help on Fortune Teller. My mentor, Brian Mello, he won Canadian Idol not too long ago, actually. And I believe his lyricist, Paul Steffens, I hope I'm not saying that incorrectly, or Paul Stevens, possibly. He was able to help me with Fortune Teller as well. We get into these like writing sessions, and they're able to help me create some amazing music as well. But most of the time, like majority of my songs are written by me. So yes.
So Fortune Teller, that was started by you, but then you had co-writers on to help you, right?
Yeah, so basically what happened was we got into a melody and started like humming, and I was going through a specific place in my life where I was dealing with said toxic relationship, and I just felt like I couldn't get out of it. And I felt like it was writing a song about anything that you're experiencing can be very therapeutic. So we just started to work upon, my situation, things that I was going through, what I was feeling. And we came up with this beautiful song. And I'm very grateful to have worked with Brian Mello and Paul Stevens on this as well, because they are both insanely talented. And yeah, I'm very grateful for the people that I get to work with. But yes, I do, majority of my songs, I do write myself on my own.
Oh, that's great. So talk to me about Fortune Teller. Who is this person? I'm kidding.
Who is this about? It's just about that person that we all have, that we never really think it's really over. And we are constantly drawn to them, pulled back to them. And despite how much we want to let go, we still have that soft spot for them, and we believe in the good in them. We see the good in them, and we want to believe that they will be good for us. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what I love about music in particular is that my songs can be, and my fans can interpret my songs however they want to relate to their own situation. So I'm very grateful to be able to be in a position where I can do that.
Okay, so with the pandemic, we had 2 years of craziness going on.
Yes.
So how did that affect your writing, and what did it add to your writing?
I think that it had me writing a lot. I had a lot of free time, which was crazy because I didn't expect it. I'm very used to working and just being busy all the time. But I had a lot of free time. So I decided to just really develop my craft, as well as just like working on myself, emotionally, physically, and just trying to make the most of being in lockdown, because it's not like we were able to necessarily go out and do stuff when we were in lockdown for a very long time. And Canada actually is still in lockdown, if I believe so. I think maybe until February, possibly. I'm not entirely sure, but I know that yeah, we have very limited COVID restrictions here. So it's been quite a journey. I will say, though, that the pandemic has definitely helped me in a lot of ways. I've been very cautious with my family, so luckily none of us have been ill of any kind, which is good. So I've been very grateful for that. But I feel like I learned so much about myself. I'm a huge person on spirituality and meditation. And I feel like you learn so much about yourself when you just sit with yourself and sit with your thoughts, and you get to know yourself. So yeah, I feel like the pandemic did help in a lot of ways, but it also prevented me from seeing my friends. It prevented me from going out, and that was really sad. But at the end of the day, I guess we got to make the most of the situation we're in.
Now, sidebar, I saw recently on socials, people trying to demonstrate in Canada, saying "my body, my choice" and all these other things. Are you joining them soon? Because I don't know at what point we decided to move away from listening to doctors, and for this specific reason. Because in other cases we listen to them, but in this specific case, for some reason, we have to do our own research and demonstrate. But I'm just kidding. Let's not get involved in this. A lot of people are divided along these lines. I went, got vaccinated. That's it. I don't care about the rest. Everyone else can do whatever they want. But moving on, with the restrictions for us, luckily for us, since COVID, since the outbreak, we had been having a curfew from 7 to 9, and luckily just 24th Monday is when everything was opened up. So everything is open now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so now, but I'm still, every time it gets like to 8 and I'm still out this week, I feel like I'm doing something illegal. Like it's crazy.
I can see why.
Yeah, so it's funny enough. But I think I feel like the pandemic kind of, as far as music goes, it gave an opportunity to people who were still able to create, like people who write their own music and produce their own stuff. I think it gave them an opportunity to experiment and push themselves further and even sharpen their skills and do better. I feel like that's what it did for people. And as for you, you said you were able to write more, right?
Yes, I was able to write. It was quite a journey. I was dealing with something at the time that was very hard, but I got through it and I got myself into a state where I'm very happy to be where I am. And I was able to, because I was in such a difficult state, I wrote a lot. I wrote a lot of songs, and one of them I was actually able to release called White Night. And I'm very grateful to be able to have written that song about my experiences and record them with amazing people, Brian Mello. And I'm very grateful that I was able to be given this opportunity to do what I love and express how I feel. And I feel like that's a huge thing. Also, in regards to the pandemic, there were times where I'd be like driving late at night. Do you remember? I don't know if you had it where you are, but we had like restrictions on how late we could drive.
As our curfew was at 7 to around 9, you just can't move after that.
Same here. Yeah, exactly. It was the same here. So we'd be driving at night and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to get in trouble. So you feel like you're doing something wrong. So you're just trying to like stay within the boundaries. But yeah, I felt like, this pandemic has helped me figure out a lot about myself, and I'm very grateful for it. So
as a musician, then what has changed for you?
I believe that in regards, do you mean necessarily in regards to the music industry or in regards to social media and the way you promote?
Yeah, and the way you promote, the way you adapt, because things keep changing. Like how people were promoting 2 years ago is not the same as now, or like people that were promoting the same way, let's say 5 years ago. It keeps changing like almost every year, 2 years. It moves, and now it's moving at a fast pace because TikTok just appeared and then changed everything. And you really literally have to go everywhere. Then Instagram this side, and then you have to be active on socials and streaming platforms. People are uploading too much music. You have to really keep in the loop. You're no longer putting out a song and then waiting 6-8 months to release another song. Everything is like moving fast, and people are not giving attention to like projects where people like work on albums, people work on EPs and say, hey, check out my body of work that I did that is very cohesive, that I had a concept, that I created this body of work that I put out for people to enjoy. But now it's more like single based. And how do you feel about all this?
So I actually did write some stuff down about this that I did want to talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a musician, I'm a singer. I am very respectful of all platforms where people are able to talk to other people. And I'm very grateful for Instagram because I get to engage with my fans and I have group chats with them, which I'm very grateful for. I'm also very close with some of them to the point where like they have my phone number. I do genuinely trust them and I FaceTime them. But I am not, I was told that when I started this, that I had to get TikTok, and I don't do it. And I don't want that to sound like it's a bad thing. I have nothing against it or the people who do it. Truthfully, I respect the platform and I understand why people do it. And if they love it, then that's even more amazing, But I personally am not, I've never really been a big fan of TikTok. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you remember having Vine.
Yeah.
Do you That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Vine was more of the viral videos, the stunts and things and crazy things. But I think TikTok I was morphed into like, it's more an advanced thing. I know the Vine thing vibe to it, But I think TikTok, they have kind of added the element of promoting music to it. That let me tell you, the person talking right now, I'm on TikTok. I barely can keep up with it. I don't know what to do with it because I can't.
Okay, me too.
I can't do the dance challenges. I can't do all these things people do. I don't know. But I feel like there are some people that are taking advantage of that. And hey, but you're a musician, so I'd like to listen to what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, I think that it's an amazing platform. And I think that if you use it to the best of your abilities and you have good intentions, that good things will come out of it. But I also think that it's more matter of a popularity contest more than it is of that of talent and somebody who embodies that talent. And, you know, that's completely okay. You know, there are a lot of apps like that. But for me personally, I feel like I want to use my platform and be able to talk about in the music industry how I want it to just be about the music. You know, I don't really want it to be about the specific videos or advertisements that I have to do. And I'm not reluctant to doing them. However, I feel like the music industry should be about music and the love of music and how it makes people feel and how they can relate to it, you know? So I feel like TikTok has definitely influenced the music industry, more so in the entertainment industry because of the popularity contest. But I hope at the heart of it, like when my dad was growing up, he loves 80s music and it was about the music, you know? And I really hope that for this year, we can get back to that.
Yeah, so it's not because you were a terrible dancer.
No, that too. Yeah, I can't dance. My brother says I'm awful, so I don't even try.
Yeah. So what? Okay, then since you've had all these from people that this is what you need to do, this is the way, join TikTok, and you decided, okay, no, I feel like I need to make it about the music. What are some of the ways you've decided to use to get your music across?
Well, what's great about being a musician is that, and an artist, is that you're able to write about every experience that you have. And I feel like all of my experiences are a very valuable story that I hold very close and near and dear to my heart. And there's also topics that I'm very passionate about. I've just started to open up about how in my genetics, in my family, there is a trace of OCD, so obsessive compulsive disorder. And it came from my grandfather, who then transferred it onto my father, who then transferred it onto me and my brother. And I feel like everybody has different severities of OCD. However, it's something that I've always wanted to bring awareness to. And I feel like my song, I don't know if you've heard it, Soldier, it touches mostly upon like mental health issues. And I feel like in the entertainment industry, there's so many topics that are spoken about, from anxiety to depression, but none really focus solely on just OCD. And there are celebrities out there who deal with that, but I feel like it doesn't get as much awareness as it does, or as much as I'd want it to, because it's more made fun of rather than being considered a serious mental illness that does impact people and does harm people and makes people think that the same thoughts as anxiety, like you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not going to get anywhere in life, kind of thing. So I feel like OCD is something that I definitely want to bring awareness to one day. And it's more than just needing things a certain way. It's if you don't do specific mannerisms a certain amount of times, you fear that something terrible is going to happen to someone you love. And even just saying that, like, that does give me anxiety, because I dealt with a mildly severe case of OCD, and it definitely impacted my life to the point where I felt like I couldn't live anymore. And everything was just, everything was very difficult for me. And I felt like I was lost in this downward spiral that I could never get out of. And thankfully, with the right people, I was able to help myself and get to the place where I'm meant to be. And I'm a much better person for it. And honestly, the pandemic really helped with that too. So yeah, my music is just about my experiences. And if I can be able to be that voice for someone else out there that's experiencing the same thing, and how they can relate it to their experiences, then I want to be able to do that for them, you know? So yeah, I want to be able to help in any way I can. And one thing, like I said, I love about music is that every song is interpreted differently, and whatever my fans interpret it as, I want that to remain constant for them, you know? So
yeah. So, and since you're bringing, you like being an advocate for that and bringing awareness to it for people that are listening in right now, you know, even mental health is becoming normal now to be talked about, you know, earlier on, and especially in some communities like where I come from, it's still like they don't believe, it's tough to believe, it's hard to believe that you need to go and talk to someone, and it's something that people are growing into and trying to understand. But then now with OCD, if you're going to explain that to someone listening in right now, like in the simplest terms you can put it, how would you describe it?
OCD can be a number of things. So it's based on fear. And it could be fear of contamination, which is something that I personally dealt with, fear of sickness. It can be a fear of having to constantly, after you lock the door, you have to shake it a certain amount of times, or you have to unlock it and then relock it and then unlock it and relock it. It's these mannerisms that so many people deal with.
That's me.
I'm so glad you can relate. Honestly, like I'm literally the same way. So I completely understand.
I literally lock it and then check it. And then I'm like, even the car, you know, I'll be like, it will be, you know, you lock and then I'm like, no, I have to check if it is actually locked.
I'm the same way. Every time I leave the house, I feel like I have to recheck the door. But I just want to say, if you deal with that, like, having OCD is not something to be ashamed about. It's not something to feel bad about yourself. I think it's something that you should embrace, and just something that makes you different from others among all of the other talents that you have, you know? And I feel like everybody has something that they deal with and that makes them who they are and the person that they're meant to be. And I don't think other people should be judged based off of what they have to deal with in their life, because it's not always up to us. And some things come out of nowhere and suddenly there's a curveball and we have to figure it out. But OCD for me in particular has been, it's been very transformative. I feel like I've learned a lot about myself. I also learned that it is an irrational disease, obviously, because I said it's based off fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real. So I always learned very quickly that I needed to be very, I needed to be very honest with myself and go easy on myself and learn that it's not one of those things that you just get better from overnight. But OCD in particular is just having to do like a certain amount of mannerisms, these OCD mannerisms, a certain amount of times until that pit in your stomach of sickness, like when you feel, if you don't do it, you feel so sick to your stomach. And until you're done doing your mannerisms, like until that goes away, that's basically what OCD is, having to do that a certain amount of times. I was in an OCD program, and I'm not really sure if I can touch upon it just because I don't necessarily speak to the girl that was there, but she did have not something that I necessarily dealt with. I dealt with more contamination fears, sickness fears, stuff like that. But there was somebody I knew that had to do like 3 sets of 11 steps whenever she walked to her car, whether it was from her house, her friend's house, boyfriend's house, the grocery store, the movies, you know, it had to be 3 sets of 11 steps. And if she didn't do them correctly, she had to go backwards and do them again. And it's something that people don't understand. For a long time, I didn't know what was quote unquote wrong with me. And it was hard. I went from many different programs trying to figure out what was going on. And then finally got into the right program, diagnosed at 17 with obsessive compulsive disorder. And I was like, okay, now it all makes sense to me. And like I said, I feel like everybody deals with different severities of OCD. So I feel like it's not something to be looked down upon. And definitely therapy is not something to be looked down upon. And I honestly, being that strong, being able to reach out to somebody for help, like, it's inspiring to so many other people. You have no idea how many other people you could help just by saying, this is what happened to me. I got help, I got better, and I want to show you that you can too. So.
Exactly. So I feel like, I think we all, sometimes it's hard to, as long as the information keeps coming across and people are able to talk about their experiences, I feel like that eases the conversation. As long as people can have the conversation about certain things, I think it makes it easy. Because like me, I like having this part where I have to check things if I've locked. It usually happens with locking something. Like I'll check probably 3 times. But and I'm always like, I'm always quick to admit, I'm like, I'm crazy. I have to check like 3 times, and I literally have to check 3 times to make sure something is okay, and that's it. So but that also has
it's not crazy. It's the thing, you're not crazy, everybody has something they deal with, and if people want to view you that way, chances are that's the perception of themselves, if they think that you suffer with something. And I understand, like, completely. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I understand completely the older generation, like my dad and my grandparents, they don't believe in mental health. And I understand why, because they grew up in a very difficult time. However, it's okay to talk about now, and to do certain mannerisms like that, as long as you can keep it under control and try to cope with it the best you can, and not let it influence your life to the point where you're not living anymore and you're scared to live, then having those little things here and there are not that big of a deal,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think the more you quickly identify that, the easier you can work your way around, living with it and trying to, understand what it is. Usually, at least if you can find out that, okay, I know this is what it is, but I have to face it now and find a way of dealing with it. I think that's the best way that can that can suit everyone, and having the conversation. So if you're listening in right now and you feel like you have any of what Selena Victoria was talking about, make sure that you can ask for help. It's not, people usually think that asking for help is a weakness, but actually it's a sign of strength, because you really, and what you can handle and what you need help with handling. So you'd rather do that. So you have Fortune Teller is out, right? It's the start of the new year, 2022. What are the plans for 2022? What are you, as far as music goes, what are you working on?
Well, I'm working on an album that I will be releasing. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be this year, just because Canada seems to be going back into lockdown a lot. So I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be able to go to the studio as much as I desire. So hopefully I can, but I don't necessarily know if I'll be able to. But I am working on a lot of new music. I'm working with my team constantly, and we're just figuring out new ideas and coming up with new ideas, recording new songs, and I'm very excited to release the things that are coming out. I also have another radio interview coming out, and I'm very excited for that. And there's just so many other things that I want to do this year. And so hopefully, if we're not in lockdown, I'll get the chance to do it.
Yes. And,
really like
and what have you, in the last 2 years, as far as your the way you live your life, right? What has changed in your life in the last 2 years? What are new traits that you've picked up? What have you decided to drop?
I was dealing with something really difficult 2 years ago when the pandemic first started, and I was working with somebody to help me combat that. And I feel like something that really helped me was learning about myself and spirituality. I am huge on, so a lot of people don't really understand a lot of this, but the universe works in a way where we're all energy, and law of attraction is a huge thing. So the things that you think you can attract, or the affirmations that you say are possible, not necessarily. Your energy has to be of the right vibration. So if you want to attract the things that you desire, you have to be on that vibration where you feel you already have them and you let go of that attachment to them. And you have to be at the high vibration that you want to be at. And I feel like music has been definitely helpful for that, because I always felt like music was my calling, my passion. I never understood why I had the gift of music, but when I dealt with OCD and other things that I dealt with, I realized that like I have so much more to do, and I am so excited to start. And I feel like spirituality definitely helped me figure out a lot about myself. And I'm a huge advocate for mental health, as you know, and I love meditation as well. So I feel like I got to know myself very well. But yeah.
Yep. And what did you drop?
Sorry?
And what traits did you drop?
I would say I learned how to be more compassionate with myself, for sure. Also more compassionate with others, understanding that what people go through when people are going through stuff, that it's not, if they're not communicating with you, or if they seem to be taking space and stepping back a bit, it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because they're dealing with something, and all you need to do is have compassion for that person. And I feel like I learned from both ends of that. And I was very grateful for the people who supported me with what I was going through. And yeah, I felt like going easier on myself, understanding that life is not a race, it's a beautiful journey. And again, it's not always about the destination of where you want to be, what you want to do, wanting to be happy. It's about the journey and the person that you become throughout the journey. And so I'm very grateful for everything that I've learned up to date. But yeah, I would say being compassionate with myself and with others especially is something that has become huge for me. I felt like I was already quite compassionate, but with this, I've become more empathic towards other people. And I can feel their pain when they're going through something. And it's something that can really emotionally unsettle you, but you're more likely to understand what exactly that person is going through, or vice versa, somebody else doing it for you. So I feel like that was huge. I also learned a lot about, just like, I was in my house a lot. So we were constantly cleaning and reorganizing stuff. And one of my favorite things to do during the year is decorate according to the holidays. So I do decorate for Christmas. I decorate for Halloween, which is my favorite time of the year. I'm born October 7th on a full moon, believe it or not. And Halloween is my favorite time of the year. So I get so excited when I get to decorate for fall. And I get to decorate for spring and summer. So I get very excited for that. I think it's just, I learned to keep my space very zen and peaceful. And so, yeah, I would say that's also another thing that I learned while being in lockdown in the pandemic.
Yes. And another thing, how often do you travel?
Not as often as I'd like. I genuinely would like to more, but I don't get the chance to as much as I'd like.
Yes, and even the last two years, I think I've been a hindrance to a lot of people even traveling and going where they would want to go even in the first place.
Yeah, I haven't been able to, so I'm very disappointed about that. But it is what it is, and I respect this entire thing and what's going on. So I guess we just have to wait. We have to wait till everything's clear and we can go back to our lives.
Absolutely. So Selena Victoria on the show today. Guys, for people that want to check you out, where would you send them?
Instagram, which is Selena Victoria Official. I post a lot about my new music. I have a lot of highlights about my previous songs and how I created those, what being in the studio is like. And I always engage with my fans. I always talk with my fans. And I just want to say one more time, like, thank you for playing Fortune Teller on your station, because I'm genuinely, like, that truly means a lot to me. And so just thank you for your support, and anybody else, just thank you for listening. And I want anyone to know out there that if you do deal with difficulties or struggles or even OCD symptoms, it's okay to ask for help. It's like he said, it's not a weakness, it's a strength. And I feel like it's something that makes you who you are, and you shouldn't shut out parts of who you are, even if you may not like them at the time. I think when I started, I really hated that part of me that had OCD, that was like that. And I actually learned to love it, because I realize now that it gives me purpose to make a change in the world. And I want to do the best I can to do it. So if anyone out there is dealing with stuff like that, don't be afraid to ask for help. You're already strong. You are amazing. You are worth it. And you got this. You are resilient. You know, as I would say for my my other song, Soldier, I would say you're a fighting soldier. So
Keep fighting.
yes, keep fighting for sure.
Absolutely. So Selena Victoria, the song is a Fortune Teller. That's what we are playing next on the Xtreme BPM. Guys, Tuesdays and Fridays, make a date with me, okay? In case you missed any of the shows, go to any podcast app of choice, search for the Xtreme BPM, and you'll be able to catch all the conversations. And but then Monday to Friday, we have 5 days of amazing episodes of amazing music on the indie scene that we need to keep checking out. And all you have to do, guys, is go support the artists. We still go ahead and put a playlist up for you on socials. So in case you listen to the station and probably a song went by, maybe I announced it and you couldn't get it, you'll still be able to catch the playlist on our socials, and you can go and check out the music. Okay. So thank you so much, Selena. And I want to shout out one of your one of the young ladies you had on your on IG Live. And when I said a lot is going on right now, and she was excited to ask you questions, but then she was also nervous about it. And then she kept like fumbling. The phone was falling over. Then her house phone called in, and then she couldn't keep up. She was like, "Hey, let me go." I I don't remember her name, but I guess you do. But shout outs to her.
Yeah, so that was Gabrielle. She is from Montreal, so also in Canada. She is one of my dedicated fans. Her fan account for me is Selena.butterflies with an extra S at the end, because I'm obsessed with butterflies and my fans kind of picked up on that. But she's the cutest thing ever.
Yes.
She's so sweet. She's so funny, and I love her. And I love all my fans with all my heart. And I see myself in them, different parts of me. And so I feel like that's how I can genuinely connect with them and talk to them. And they do come to me. And I even go to them when I need that specific, comfort, if I don't have that, and they come to me for that. And I feel like forming that authentic, genuine connection with your fans is so crucial to being able to have people understand who you are and really be drawn to who you are and like who you are, because being authentic is how people come to you. And I feel like that's how I am with my fans. I'm very honest and very open. And so I'm very grateful for them. But yeah, shout out to Gabrielle. I love you, girl. I love you so much.
Gabrielle, thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, until next time, go stream Fortune Teller, coming in from Selena Victoria. If you missed this conversation and probably you came in at the few last minutes, it will be available on all podcast apps or you can go to the link in my bio on IG, that is at DJ Mark Xtreme at eJazz Radio. Go to the website, you'll get a link to all the conversations. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a great one. And it's the 26th when we are recording this. Do they still say Happy New Year? When does that end?
I mean, yeah, I know that the Chinese New Year's coming in February, so I guess that still counts.
Oh yeah, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Guys,
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Glad to have you on, and happy we could do this.
Bless you. Thank you. Bye.